It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's the most wonderful time of the year. I'm not talking about Christmas, not stupid holiday shit. I'm talking about the top 10 worst metal albums of the year. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Bam! Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. It is that magical time of the year where we now talk about the top 10 worst metal albums of the year. Consistently one of the most popular videos every single year, because whether you like to admit it or not, whether you want to admit it or not, you love hate, and you love it specifically when I spew it. So here we are. Grab a drink and get ready to talk some mad crap and shit. It's fucking delicious. I might pour myself a full glass. Oh, by the way, folks, whilst I have your attention, just a little heads up, the Metal Meltdown will be doing a very special live stream, our 15,000 subscribers celebration live stream, in fact, December 18th, going live at approximately 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yes, I am well aware it is on a Monday. It is the only day I currently have to spare, because I am a busy motherfucker, and this is a busy motherfucking time of the motherfucking year. We're gonna drink, shoot the shit, celebrate life, and love, and fun, and success, and happiness together. If that does not convince you to tune in, maybe these little factoids will. First off, by popular demand, I will be dressed as a hot dog. Second, I will take a shot every time you donate to the channel, no matter what. Also, speaking of donations, every donation made to the Metal Meltdown during the live stream will be in turn sent to the Fort York Food Bank here in Toronto. I don't know, I'm probably biased, but I think that all sounds pretty great and cool and fun. Anyways, 15K celebration live stream stuff, there's a link to it in the description of this video. Let's get into the real meat and potatoes of this thing, the top 10 worst metal albums of 2023. As per the norm, this is not a ranked or numbered list. I will be talking about each album in order of release, and if I have a number one worst metal album of the year, I will simply tell you what it is when we start talking about it. Also, if you happen to enjoy 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or multiple or all of the albums included in this video, congratulations, please continue to do so. Okay, let's officially kick things off with On the Prowl from Steel Panther, released February 24th via Steel Panther Incorporated. Though Steel Panther intends to be a loving, satirical homage to the 1980s glam rock and heavy metal scene, ultimately they are a reflection of the worst aspects of that sound, of that vibe, and of that culture. The lyrics are crude, gross, sexist, overly simplistic. There aren't really any real jokes on this album to speak of, despite this being a comedy metal album. Oh, you just can't handle the jokes because you're a thin-skinned snowflake libtard. No, there are no jokes to speak of. There are no jokes to handle. What is the joke consistently across the album? I've got a big fucking dick and I sing glam rock and I fuck lots of bitches. That's the joke. Where's the punchline? Where's the setup even, for that matter? Like, ranting about how much you miss the 80s and how much you love the 80s and how rock and roll was better back in the 80s is not a joke. That's my fucking uncle ranting at Thanksgiving dinner. Even from the standpoint of just wanting some nostalgic 80s metal, like, there's nothing happening on this record that bands like Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, Poison, Def Leppard, and Whitesnake did not do much better back in the day. For that matter, that bands like The Darkness and Ghost aren't doing better right now. For well over 2 decades now, Steel Panther have relied on the same half-baked riffs and the same lazy jokes over and over and over again, and in my opinion, it's time to just get some new, fresh material. Next up, we have War Against All from Immortal, released May 26th via Nuclear Blast Records. Hands down, one of the most boring and generic kind of classic black metal records I've heard in recent memory. Now, I will concede I have never been a huge fan of Immortal. I'm not even a huge fan of the supposed classics like Battles in the North or Pure Holocaust or At the Heart of Winter. But I will say, when I listen to those records, there's at least some kind of like cold, snowy atmosphere and this feeling of like genuine heart and passion within Immortal. Like, I don't like those records, but I can see why people like those records. With War Against All, though, I just straight up don't fucking get it. And a lot of this has to do with Demonaz being the sole member of Immortal now, having successfully kicked everyone else out, handling all guitars, all vocals, all lyrics. He's not bouncing ideas off of anyone, and he's just kind of doing what he wants, and I don't think he's talented enough as a songwriter to really deliver anything that satisfying by himself. And I also feel like he's getting a little bit of an ego high, a power trip from this whole thing as well, because he even had the gall to do a self-titled Immortal track on this thing. And that kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth because black metal prides itself on being really passionate and authentic, and here we have Demonaz practically bragging in song about how he's been able to just legally take over Immortal. I don't know, man, in a year filled with some stellar black metal from Enslaved, Panopticon, Blood Osnord, Svalbard, Black Braid, Sulphur Aeon, I don't know why on God's green earth you would settle for this, like straight up. Next up, we have a gradual decline in morale from Kim Dracula, released July 14th via Columbia and Sony Music Entertainment Australia. This is perhaps one of the biggest musical clusterfucks I've ever seen or heard in my entire life. It is as if the entire approach to writing and constructing this record was, hey, let's just throw a bunch of shit at the wall and see what sticks. It's a little bit of Mr. Bungle, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Slipknot, Marilyn Manson, Static X, Falling in Reverse, all kind of like thrown into a blender, rolled into a ball, deep fried to hell and back, smothered with an obnoxious amount of sauce. There are these sections with like goofy, comical voiceovers and sound effects. There are these sections with more grandiose prog metal, shred metal stuff. There are sections of like full-on rampaging nu metal and deathcore. There are sections of like mariachi music with like horns and strings. This album is just too over the top and too fucking random and weird for its own good. Like, this is not a case of like, contrary to popular belief, where I'm an old man and I just can't handle 2 or 3 styles of music being blended together. This thing is just a huge fucking mess. I mean, just look at like Diablo Swing Orchestra. They blend together jazz and swing and classical and opera music and groove metal and symphonic metal and disco, and there's like no fucking competition. Like, it is entirely possible for a band to blend a million styles of music together and do so in a way that is erratic and is unhinged, but still really captivating and engaging, and Diablo Swing Orchestra is a great example of that. Kim Dracula is not. Probably not the #1 worst metal album of the year, but I would say the #1 most cringeworthy and obnoxious metal album of the year. Like, I fucking can't stand this thing. Next up, we have Outside the Spiral from Tell the Dirt, released August 25th via Nuclear Blast Records. Dude, this one is just straight up disappointing because I was actually mildly pumped for this. I mean, you've got 3 current members of long-running 90s tech death progressive metal pioneers and icons atheist here, including the band's mastermind Kelly Schaefer. You've got legendary death metal producer Scott Burns coming out of retirement to work on this fucking album, and it ends up being a fucking mess. Like, these guys are trying to do like groove metal, nu metal, alternative metal kind of stuff with like these more rabid vocal dynamics and these like ballsier kind of like groove-laden passages, and they're trying to bring like progressive tech death nuance and musicianship into that, and Kelly Schaefer is playing around with clean vocals on this record, and he just sounds like a really bad like Jonathan Davis impersonator. It's clumsy, it's awkward, it's kind of aimless, the songs fall flat, the hooks aren't really that interesting, the riffs and the beats aren't really that interesting. And even the production, man, like, god damn. Like, this thing just has a really muddy, ugly sound to it, which works well for a very straight up kind of like nu metal, groove metal record, but not so much for something that's trying to lean towards progressive death metal. This is one of those things where I'm like, even in theory, this is just a bad idea. Like, these sounds and these ideas, maybe they can work together, but this is clearly the wrong group of people to try to do so. Like I said, it's just really disappointing for all of these reasons, and also, honestly, because, like, we could have just gotten a new Atheist album instead of this. Like, come on, man. Come on, Kelly. Come on, man. Next up, we have CMF2 from Cory Taylor, released September 15th via Decibel Cooper Recordings and BMG. This one's also disappointing because I actually liked CMFT, Cory Taylor's first solo album released back in 2020. Was it really dumb and silly and cringe? Yes. Absolutely. But it also had a lot of charm and personality and character, and it saw Cory Taylor experimenting with ideas and sounds that he probably wouldn't have experimented with Slipknot or even Stone Sour. And meanwhile, CMF2 just feels like an absolutely massive downgrade in absolutely every way. It is a much more basic, predictable, straightforward, paint-by-numbers kind of like hard rock, butt rock record. With your standard sappy rock ballads, your standard stadium rock, radio-friendly rock jams. It attempts on occasion to have these heavier, more provocative, and more powerful, inspired moments, but it ends up just sounding like leftovers from like a recent Green Day record. It's not as versatile, it's not as fun, it's not as well made either. It really just kind of feels like Cory and the gang kind of phoned it in on this one. Like, I don't think Cory Taylor is a disingenuous person by any stretch, but it feels as if this record was made more so out of obligation than it was out of desire. Frankly, I found myself hoping for something as stupid as CMFT Must Be Stopped, because at least then there'd be like some charm and personality to this thing. Nothing. Cory Taylor spends 50 minutes crapping out some pretty lethargic, uninspired stadium rock and radio metal. Yippee. Yikes. No thank you. Next up, we have The Godslayer from Otep, released September 15th via Cleopatra Records. Look, on one hand, I'm extremely thankful, dare I say even grateful, that Otep, for once, isn't doing her standard hyper-pretentious, hyper-overproduced, hyper-lib, politically charged shtick. But also, on the other hand, this is the worst cover album I've ever heard in my entire life. I mean, the way that she has just absolutely butchered all of these songs from Nirvana, Slipknot, the Beach Boys, Eminem, Olivia Rodrigo, Billie Eilish, it honestly, if it isn't criminal, it fucking should be. Like, I have just witnessed a fucking murder here. I'm not even the biggest fan of Olivia Rodrigo and Lil Peep, but god damn it, they deserve better than this. Every song is needlessly, excessively moody and abrasive and melodramatic, filled with like yelping, squeaking vocals and screaming vocals and static and like bombastic percussion and riffage. Like, it just very cluelessly hammers away with this super edgy, super cringy, overproduced, like, nu metal, alt metal tripe. And that's frankly when these songs are at their best. When they're at their worst, like on something like The Way I Am, it just sounds like drunk white girl karaoke. Just a disaster of a record, in my opinion. It's right up there with a gradual decline in morale as far as being like really pretentious and obnoxious and cringeworthy. Next up, it's 2 albums for the price of 1. We're talking about A Very Metal Christmas 1 and A Very Metal Christmas 2, both of which were released October 27th via Cleopatra Records and Deadline Records. Alright, look, I'm kind of cheating a little bit here because this is a compilation record as opposed to like a full-blown studio album filled entirely with brand new material. Also, worth noting, I'm hella biased because I am a well-documented Christmas hater. As far as I'm concerned, the Grinch did nothing wrong. He's a hero. But fuck it, because I make the rules and it's my list. And I hate both of these albums with the force of 1,000 hurricanes! There is nothing in this world that will kill Christmas spirit as ferociously or as quickly as these two fucking albums. These two albums make me fucking proud to be a full-blown fucking Scrooge. You've got all these like B-, C+ tier 80s rock musicians all across here lending their talents to a variety of tired, annoying Christmas jingles. Current and former members of Guns N' Roses, Iron Maiden, Megadeth, Rat, The Runaways. You've got the Bullet Boys doing the worst version of White Christmas I've ever heard in my entire life. Even by fucking sloppy 80s sleaze metal standards, this thing is a fucking train wreck. You've got Stephen Pearcy and Vinnie Moore doing a version of Feliz Navidad that wouldn't even cut it at the local fucking bar on Christmas Eve. You've got Glenn Hughes butchering Oh Holy Night with some overdone, deep-fried vocals. And then you have a version of All I Want for Christmas Is You featuring Tim Owens and Bumblefoot and Dave Ellefson, and I hate it. I don't know how you make the most annoying Christmas song even more fucking annoying, but these motherfuckers found a way to fucking do it. It's honestly impressive on some level. Now, to be fair, there are a few instrumental cuts that aren't that bad, and then Marty Friedman even manages a decent little number with Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. But the bad outweighs the fuck out of the good on here. I cannot fucking stand this thing. If you put this under my Christmas tree on Christmas Day, I will burn you alive. Bah fucking humbug. I don't give a shit. Cry about it. Go to hell. Next up, we have The White Elf from Dungeon Wolf, released November 22nd, independently. Let's cut straight to the chase with this one, because Dungeon Wolf don't deserve any more fucking attention from me. This is the worst metal album of the year and the most incompetently produced, written, and performed metal record I've ever heard here on the Metal Meltdown, and possibly ever. It's lazy, it's ugly, it's sloppy. Dungeon Wolf also continued to insist that their music is actually much more intelligent and thought-provoking than it actually is, insisting that their music is revolutionary, insisting that their music is inspirational, insisting that songs like The White Elf and Eat My Ass have lyrics that deal with working-class struggles and, like, modern politics and social issues. When in reality, The White Elf is about a fucking white elf, and Eat My Ass, though it does have lyrics about inflation, wow, is about eating ass! And then fucking Dungeon Wolf have the audacity to be like, Robert, you have misinterpreted the lyrics in a way that offends my mother, my family. This song is about real working class struggles. This song is about how things are so bad for the people of Florida that they want to eat my pet donkey. Like, how fucking stupid do you think I am, Dungeon Wolf? Do you not hear how fucking insane of a premise that is for a fucking song called Eat My Ass? Nobody is playing in time, none of the instruments are in tune. This new singer, Herman Passions, who I've waited 2 years to fucking hear, is somehow just as terrible for all the same reasons as their previous lead singer. Hell, he might be even worse. And all the while, Dungeon Wolf has been going out of their way to try to annoy and antagonize me and to bully me, quite frankly. They called me a coward back in September because I didn't fucking respond to an email of theirs. And then they continuously delayed this album, which, by the way, isn't really an album, it's 4 fucking songs. There's still some debate as to whether or not Dungeon Wolf are trolls or not. I kind of think that they're both. I think that they are both a deeply serious but also a deeply unserious band. No matter what they are, the music is fucking terrible, and I've had enough of them. I've given them enough chances. I've given them enough opportunity. You're done, Dungeon Wolf. Go home. Fuck off. And finally, we have The Beautiful Dark of Life from Atru, released December 8th via Spine Farm Records. We reviewed this literally a week ago on the Metal Meltdown, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I will say that Atreu's trend of making extremely mediocre pop metal continues with The Beautiful Dark of Life. It has a bunch of dumb, sappy, generic orchestral ballads that are sappier than a sugar maple. It has some more awkward, clumsy moments that try to mesh a couple of different sounds and styles together to extremely irritating effect. A lot of the bombastic, generic hard rock and pop metal of Baptize unfortunately remains intact. They're continuing to tone down the heaviest aspects of their sound. I would say also they're toning down the poppier aspects of their sound. I mean, this is still pretty firmly a pop metal record, but nothing really sizzles or sparkles or shines like, you know, some of the stuff on Baptize. Like, there were some really big hooks on that album, and some really big, like, vocal theatrics and moments, but here, not so much. And the fact that Atru decided to release this album in, like, these different chunks throughout the year is kind of a weird decision as well. It makes a lot of the material, when you listen to the full album, feel kind of tired by default. And it also actively fucks with Atru's goals for this entire project, because the songs on each EP were designed and put together in a way so as to symbolize significant and specific periods in someone's mental health. Starting at rock bottom and then gradually getting better, but the problem is the full album completely fucks with that kind of flow. The tracks are all jumbled and they have a completely different order to them. I said in my review that this is the moment where I officially jump off the Atru train, and I fucking stand by that. This band has never really done much for me, and if they're going to continue down this path, then I have no intention of following them. And voila, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, we've done it! Our top 10 worst metal albums of 2023, officially bringing an end to the standard end-of-the-year content here on the Metal Meltdown. I don't really know what we're going to do for the rest of 2023. I do know, again, we have a live stream on the 18th and our very special Christmas party on the 26th, but as far as regular content is concerned, maybe we'll take a break, maybe we'll do some weirder stuff. I really don't know yet. What I do know is that I'm extremely proud of everything I have done on the Metal Meltdown this year, and I'm happy that you're here with me, and I love you, and I hope you have a fantastic fucking day. Press this button to subscribe if you somehow have not done so already. Look, more videos here, and once again, as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.